If you've just lost your job as an employee of a company that's entered into an insolvency mechanism like administration, this can be a very, very worrying time for you. We fully understand that. What this video sets out to do is to explain what your rights are in the event that the employer has gone into administration. First of all, what is administration? Well, usually this means the company has failed and a licensed insolvency practitioner has been appointed by the court to run the company for a period of time. He or she will then decide whether to continue to run the business or to sell the business. Usually, the administrator will make decisions on employment quite quickly, but we know that there are very often times when administrators aren't communicating with the employees and you can't find out what's going on. This is very worrying, and hopefully this video will help you understand more. Firstly, if the company enters into administration and the company is going to be sold, the possibility is that your job will be transferred under what's called CHIPI, or Transfer of Undertaking Protection of Employment Rights, to the new employer, in which case you simply move employers and your rights from the past will be carried forward. If, however, the redundancy path is taken by the administrator, then you will receive notice and you will be sent home. Unfortunately, the company will not have the money generally to meet your employment claims. And what we're going to do is go through the 4 employment claims that you might have. The first one is redundancy. To qualify for redundancy payments, you must have worked for the company for a period longer than 2 years. If you haven't, then you can't make a claim for redundancy. If you have worked for more than 2 years, the redundancy claim can be made to what is called the Redundancy Payments Office, which is part of the government. It will pay you an amount of money based on how long you have worked for the company, how old you are, and how much money you were paid in your employment. The cap on that is £450 per week currently, but that usually goes up each year by a modest amount. You make that claim on what's called Redundancy Payments Form number 1. The second claim is called lieu of notice. Now, generally, all people who are employed and under employment contract have some form of notice period. If the administrator sends you home, he has breached that term of your contract, and you're entitled to make a claim again to the Redundancy Payments Office under the lieu of notice part of your contract. You will receive a certain amount. That could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or even longer. Again, it's capped at up to £450 per week. So if you earned £300 per week, you can only claim £300. If you earned £500, you will only be able to claim £450. Again, the form is the Redundancy Payments Form number 1. You can download that form from our website. Those forms fill in the details for redundancy in lieu of notice, which are called unsecured claims. They will not be made to the administrator. He will or she will not have the money to pay it. There are 2 other claims. Claim number 3 is for arrears of pay or salary, and this includes bonuses and commissions. Typically, this is capped at £850. For example, if the company entered into administration on the 21st of the month and you were made redundant on the 22nd, which is before your payday, you will receive an arrears of pay either from the administration, probably unlikely, or again from the Redundancy Payments Office. This is capped at £850 currently, but that rises annually. The balance of any salary that you are owed becomes an unsecured claim, and again, that would become a creditor in the administration, and again, you're unlikely to receive anything for that. The 4th claim is holiday pay. Almost everybody is in arrears with their holidays, so if you are due 5 or 7 or 10 days of holiday pay, again, this is a preferential payment and should be made either by the administrator, unlikely, or the Redundancy Payments Office, and again, this is capped. So those are the 4 claims. Now, before you make any claims on the Redundancy Payments Form number 1, you must sign on. If you do not sign on, the government will reduce the payment made to you by the equivalent of the benefit that you should have earned. There's another point to make. If you get a job, luckily enough, 2 weeks into the redundancy process, any salary that you take from that point on will reduce your redundancy payment from the old company and from the government. So those are the 4 claims. The important thing to do is to read further on this website, companyrescue.co.uk, but please don't phone us, we can't give individual advice. The second thing to do is to look at the DBIS site, and the link to that is on this page. The third thing to do, if you're unsure, is to call the helpline on the DBIS help site. Finally, please note that the directors and administrators aren't trying to undermine you, they are simply trying to run the business. And whilst you're not being informed of your rights and what is going on, we know that that's very unfortunate and very worrying. But please follow the steps on this website and in this video, and then you can move forward to try and collect some of your employment rights. Finally, if you are employed going forwards, make sure that you get a new contract of employment or the old contract of employment is adopted by your new employer. If you need any advice on that, speak to your directors or to any legal advisor. Finally, people might say, well, I can take a claim against the company or the administrator for unfair dismissal. Well, that is technically correct, but unlikely to recover you any money unless the administrator is able to recover a lot of cash and distribute it to creditors. We can't advise on such claims, but you can speak to ACAS, ACAS, and they can give you a view as to whether you can take that claim forwards. Again, we understand it's a very worrying process for you, but please follow the guides on this site, and we hope that you find employment soon.